everyone. My name is Allison Tamper. I am a master's candidate in nutrition and exercise physiology here at Teachers College, and I am an administrative fellow in the Office of Student Health and Wellness. And I will be talking about nutrition and exercise as a form of coping in a COVID world.
And hi everyone, I'm Nadine Postalake. I'm a fourth year doc student in the Counseling Psych program here at TC. I'm also an admin fellow, but with the Student Support and Counseling Office at Student Health and Wellness. And I'll be speaking to coping with anxiety given COVID, and then also talking about how to connect with the provider post graduation.
So I'm going to start by talking about spacing meals throughout the day. So you want to try and plan meals for similar times day to day that work with you depending on your work, school, sleep schedule. So breakfast could be at 7 a.m., it could be at noon every day, dinner could be at 6 p.m., or it could be at midnight, whatever schedule works best for you. And you can have the standard 3 large meals of breakfast, lunch, and dinner if that's what works best for your schedule. Or you can have multiple smaller meals, like 5 or 6 spread throughout the day. If you have very busy days and only have a short break during the day for lunch, then 3 large meals might be better for you. But if you find yourself getting hungry throughout the day, you might need to either eat more at meals and or incorporate snacks mid-morning and in the afternoon. And regardless of what meal pattern you choose, you should try to space your meals and snacks at least 2 hours apart, but try not to go more than 5 hours without eating anything. Regardless, though, you should always eat when you're hungry. And lastly, you want to always plan ahead. So if you know you're going to have a busy day coming up, try and have meals and snacks ready to go in the fridge to quickly grab so you're not left eating nothing the entire day. And this leads us to the next slide, which is on the go food. So if you're often on the go, especially once the pandemic is over, then you want to plan ahead and bring meals and snacks with you so you're prepared whenever you get hungry. Some portable snacks would include fruit, like a banana or an apple, something that won't be easily damaged in a bag, trail mix, a whole wheat pita with hummus, carrot sticks, yogurt, if you have a pool pack, or granola bar, something like that that's easy to grab and keep in your bag during the day. And if meal prepping is something that you've tried and it works for you, or if it's something you're interested in trying, that's a really great and easy way to quickly pack a lunch to take with you on the go, or to quickly have if you have limited time for lunch when working at home. And for this, you just pick a day of the week, usually on the weekend, to prepare large quantities of food that will last you the rest of the week. And then what I call mini meal prepping can also be done where you just make a lot of dinner for yourself one night so that there's some leftovers that can be used for lunch for the next day or two. So you're not wondering what you're going to be doing for lunch in the morning. And you always want to try to incorporate protein at every meal and at snacks because this will help you to feel full for longer. So, for example, if you're having a banana for snack, try pairing it with some yogurt or some peanut butter, or if you're having some carrot sticks, try having them with hummus or a cheese stick just so you're feeling more satisfied for longer. And if you have a really busy day, then you want to eat when you have time, even if you're not hungry, because otherwise you're going to find yourself to be starving at the end of a long day. And this will lead to either eating beyond fullness or turning to something like fast food as just a quick solution to hunger. And the next slide is physical activity guidelines. So the general recommendation for physical activity for adults is 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity activity, which is about 30 minutes on 5 days of the week, or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity activity per week. So moderate intensity would be like fast walking or slowly jogging, something where you're working, but you would still be able to carry on a conversation. And more vigorous intensity activities would be like running, vigorous cycling, swimming, or higher intensity sports like basketball or soccer, where you're working very hard and breathing heavy, and it would be difficult to talk and carry on a conversation. And you also want to incorporate moderate intensity muscle strengthening activities on 2 or more days of the week. So this would be something like yoga, Pilates, or weightlifting. And the most important thing is you really want to find an exercise that you enjoy. So if you find something you actually like to do, it'll be very easy to meet the physical activity recommendations. And this can be anything like riding a bike or going for a walk and maybe listening to a podcast, swimming, or even just dancing for a few minutes. And next slide. If the physical activity guidelines seem intimidating, then you can just use it as a goal to work towards and start doing what you can do now. Even if it's just 5 minutes of activity each day, this is much better than being completely stationary and can have health benefits. A lot of people think that if you don't do an hour straight of exercise, then it's not worth it, it's not beneficial, but this just isn't true. Just doing 5 or 10 minutes exercise can be extremely beneficial. And this is what we refer to as an exercise snack. It's just like a little piece of exercise that you can have throughout the day. This could be a HIIT workout or Tabata. So these are exercises that are naturally short in duration, but it also doesn't need to be something such high intensity. So for example, if you have 10 minutes in the morning before your kids wake up, and then a 10-minute break midday between meetings, and then a 10-minute break at the end of the day before you have to start preparing dinner, then you can use that time to just do some simple body weight exercises, go for a quick walk, or do some stretching, and this would already add up to 30 minutes for the day. And if you do a lot during the day, if you're always on the go, running errands, then odds are that you are already meeting the physical activity guidelines of 150 minutes per week of moderate intensity activity. So even if it's not a formal exercise routine, then it still counts. Like just briskly walking from store to store is exercise. And if you are still working from home, an exercise snack is a great way to transition between home life and work life at the beginning and end of the day to help you get into a routine. And it can be worked into your day, such as getting up to stretch every hour or doing walking meetings or just even doing exercises while sitting at your desk. Next slide. The most important thing is to not get too stressed out or be too hard on yourself about what you are or you aren't doing. You have all lived through over a year of a pandemic, which is an accomplishment in and of itself, and you are doing the best you can. So taking out some comfort food or staying in bed instead of working out when you're feeling down is a necessary part of coping and taking care of yourself. Nutrition and exercise should be a way to relieve stress and should not be an additional source of stress in an already extremely stressful year. So if you're exhausted or extremely busy or just need some rest, then listen to your body and take this rest. A day or even a week is not going to cause excessive weight gain, nutrient deficiencies, or muscle loss. And in fact, excessive exercise and excessive clean eating can actually be much more harmful than finding this balance in your diet and exercise routine where you do allow yourself some flexibility and rest. So the bottom line is it is very crucial to always make time for rest days and for your physical and mental health. And this leads us to our next topic.
Yeah, so I'll be speaking about how to prioritize your mental health after your time at TC. So, first, I'll talk through some skills for managing anxiety, especially given the impact of COVID on our own personal mental health. And then I'll conclude with talking about how does one go about finding a therapist with hopefully some practical steps and resources for you if that is something that you are interested in post-graduation. So first, a little bit about anxiety. I think that it's important to note that anxiety is experienced by everyone and that aspects of anxiety are actually adaptive. So what does that mean? It means that if you can see in the image on the right, if we have too much anxiety, we can become paralyzed, we become kind of irritated or have these racing thoughts. But if we have just enough anxiety, if you can think about going to a job interview, and kind of being anxious but at the same time really motivated to do your best, that right amount of anxiety can actually be quite motivating and helpful. So that can be a helpful way to think about anxiety, that actually it can be a friend in the right amounts. It's important to note that there are cognitive aspects and then also physiological aspects of anxiety. So the cognitive aspects could be like racing thoughts, and the physiological ones could be like increased heart rate. You're more alert and more sensitive to your surroundings, even possibly more distracted by your surroundings if you're so alert to them, and also increasing muscle contractions. And so there are ways in which, with different techniques, you can manage these physiological aspects, so then that can translate into your cognitive processing of anxiety and then also your feelings related to anxiety. So I'll talk a little bit about some of those techniques that you can employ. So the first one is mindfulness, and mindfulness is important because of several benefits around the physiological responses that are related to anxiety. So we know that with mindfulness, if you practice it consistently, you can slow your heart rate down, you can actually relax your muscles and help your body to conserve energy. And so when you address these, how your body is responding in the face of an anxiety provoking situation, then you can change the thoughts that you're having and also influence the emotions that you're feeling about that event. So one technique is focusing on breathing and being very present in your breath. So one is called the 4-7-8 technique, where you inhale slowly for 4 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, and exhale for 8 seconds. And then you repeat this for a time period of about 5 minutes. An important thing to note is you should probably do this exercise consistently. Meaning, if you can find some time in the morning or in the evenings, a consistent time during the day to use this technique, it can actually be more beneficial than just doing this right before an event that's causing you a lot of stress or anxiety. So kind of building this into your routine is really important for the benefits to actually work when you need them. Another technique is to employ mindfulness or being present in the moment with the 5 senses. So you can use sort of, especially in this time of COVID when we can't travel, we can't see people, there's so much kind of loss of our sensory experience. You can kind of do this with your imagination or whatever you have in front of you. So for example, with taste, you could imagine or actually make a food or a dessert that you really like and think about being present in that meal and how it tastes, how it feels in your mouth. You might think about your favorite song and what emotions that brings to you as a song that might make you feel joyful or calm or at peace. You might think about the smell of coffee. You might actually take a coffee in the morning and smell it and sit with it for 5 minutes and kind of notice those sensations as they go into your nose and through your breath. You might touch like a furry blanket or just even feel the sensations of your clothes against your skin and feel really present in the moment that you're alive and that you have this sense of touch that is so powerful and actually will connect you to other people. And then finally, vision. This can be really helpful to kind of think about, imagine a space, a place where you feel safe, calm. So the beach is one that we throw around, or even just a place that's special to you, and kind of envision yourself in that place and note how you are feeling in your body as you imagine yourself there. So this can be a really helpful exercise in really grounding yourself in the full experience of being present. And then the last technique is sort of progressive muscle relaxation. And so I have a video here. We don't have time to watch the video, but I do encourage you to go on YouTube and maybe search some of these mindfulness activities and kind of use them to guide your own exercise. That can be very helpful. You can also look for podcasts or apps that will guide you through a relaxation exercise. So in progressive muscle relaxation, the goal is to focus the mind on the present experience of your body. It's also to kind of help calm the body in the hopes that as you calm the body, your thoughts will calm and you can have effective change on your emotional experience as well. And it's to be aware of the differences between when your muscles are tense and when they're relaxed. So you can start in muscle relaxation with the muscles in your face and head, maybe your jaw, tightening them for 5 seconds and then releasing them, and progressively move from your head all the way down to your toes, and notice what your body feels like when it holds tension and what it feels like when it relaxes. So again, sort of mindfulness is really helpful in targeting the physiological experiences that might accompany anxiety, which we might all be kind of dealing with now as a result of COVID. And then as you navigate those physiological experiences, you also work with the thoughts and emotions. And one way we can kind of get outside support is connecting with a provider. Well, how do you find a provider post TC when you're not connected with an academic institution? The first thing is to check your insurance coverage, and it can be by calling your insurance provider through your employment, asking them to clarify what is covered under your insurance. Specifically now with telehealth, it can be very important to ask about what the copay is. Sometimes actually now due to COVID, there are possibilities of them actually waiving the copay. So just being very clear before you reach out to your provider what your insurance covers and what you have access to. But what if you don't have insurance? There are several ways that you can still access or connect with a provider if you don't have insurance. One of the ways is by going to a training site where there are counselors who are trainees. So Teachers College, for example, has one for the community to those who aren't students, and other schools have them as well. And they typically don't take insurance, but what they'll do is they'll offer services based on a sliding scale, so based on your income. So that's one way that you can still connect with care and quality care, but maybe not have to go through insurance. I also encourage you to think about your preferences and to really find your voice in your journey to connect with a therapist and a mental health provider. You really want to feel safe and connected to this person that you will be sharing with, sharing your vulnerable story with. So you really want to think about even identities of your providers that matter to you: gender, race, ethnicity, what kind of therapeutic style they have. And I would encourage you to be direct and upfront about this while you're looking for a provider. And then make the phone call, set up the first appointment, maybe integrate some of these mindfulness exercises we talked about before making the call, knowing that because it's very important what you're doing to prioritize your mental health during these very challenging times. And then these are just some lists of helpful resources for connecting to providers. So Psychology Today is a great one where you can filter by zip code and by insurance, by different aspects, and it kind of will locate providers in your area for you to give a call. Locator.apa is similar, as well as goodtherapy.org. New York has some very accessible options for trying to find resources for mental health, which I put up there on the screen, as well as Academy. The last link, which will give you sort of low cost sliding scale options in your area by state. And with that, that concludes our presentation. So thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions, we welcome them now, or you can email questions to studentwellness@tc.columbia.edu. Thank you so much. Let me turn off the recording.